Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this evening's episode of The Elouise Show. This is episode 16, where we are featuring Murielle Ahawo. And I know I butchered that, so please, sis, once you're on, correct me because I know I'm wrong. Murielle is a first generation Togolese immigrant who is soon to be a graduate from Ross University School of Medicine. She is currently applying for psychiatry residencies that emphasize psychotherapy and community medicine. Her message is simple: to encourage mental health wellness in Black and Brown communities in order to create emotionally intelligent individuals who can inspire generational change. Murielle, welcome to the Elouise Show.
Hello. Hi. And yes, you did butcher my name, but that's okay. It's Ahawo. So, yeah, aha, like you have an idea, and then whoa. But that's all right. I forgive you, Lynette. Yep.
All right. So,
Yes.
what's up? What's good? What's new?
What's good? What's new? I'm still in classes. I'm taking a difficult class right now, but other than that, everything's good. Like I said, applying for residency this year, trying to make the dream happen. So that's about it.
You are
Yes.
becoming reality. So
Yes.
let's bring it back.
Bring it back.
Run it back for me. Tell me what sparked your interest in medicine? What made you want to pursue a career in medicine?
That is a great question. So at first, I must admit, I was not interested in going into the medical pathway. Um, what happened was in seventh grade, my father, he sat me down and he said, "All right, I want you to give me a list of 5 things, 5 future careers for yourself that you want to do." And so the first thing on that list was actually fashion design. I know me. No, but I used to do sketches. I used to sew things in my free time. I used to make dresses, skirts. I attempted to make a jacket. And my father, being the African man that he is, he said, "That's not happening. You better go pick number 4 or 5 on this list rather than you try to be number one," because I didn't hear about anybody making money doing fashion design. So, yes, he crushed that dream. But over time, I really got inspired by the idea of being in medicine and then going through the path of um, getting into mental health and going to medical school. So that's that.
So what are some of the challenges that you've experienced along this medical school journey of yours?
Oh, so many. So many challenges. I would say starting off, the biggest problem that I had was trying to find a mentor that looked like me, that talked to me, and that would make time for me, because it's very few people who want to go into the position or into the space that I'm going into. So I wanted to find people that could assist me along the way, but it's to find that person who looks exactly like you is very difficult, especially when you want to go into the route of mental health. It's the numbers are abysmal when you're looking for yes, when you're looking for Black mental health professionals, and then those in the academic field who are doing psychiatry, it's 2% of how many. I think it's about 40,000 psychiatrists out there in the United States. Only 2% are Black. And we're not splitting Black male or Black female. So, that was the beginning challenges. And for someone to tell me, "All right, take this exam, then study like this, and then you want to go meet these people to make sure that you get into the right circles to get to where you want to go." I had to figure that out for myself, unfortunately, but I still made it.
So out of 40,000 black, I'm sorry, out of 40,000
Yes.
psychiatrist,
Yes.
not
Yeah.
psychologist,
Mm,
psychiatrist,
psychiatrist, yes.
2% are
Mhm.
like are African American or black.
Black, yeah, black.
As black. And so that number for anyone who's listening and not that great at math, that's 800 out of 40,000. That's 800.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that number, this is probably hard, but like I'm guessing the percentage of women versus men, black women versus black men that are psychiatrists.
Trump's black men 6 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how does it feel navigating that space? Do you
Yes.
feel alone or like it's the irony? Like how does this affect your psyche while you're in psychiatry?
Um, I mean, there's a lot to it. It's almost like sometimes I have the feeling that maybe this wasn't meant for me, or maybe it's almost like the imposter syndrome. Like once you get into a room where you are accredited to go into, you have the degrees, you have the knowledge, but you feel almost less than with the people who are in the room because you in your mind don't feel like you belong there. And it's almost like they don't make a space for you to belong there. You kind of have to forcefully fit yourself into that space and not, and not take their no for an answer. And that was something that I had to figure out for myself. Like, if this is what you want to do as a career path, it's not going to be an easy one. And there's going to be a lot of closed doors to you because they don't know what to do with you.
Well, so how do you find a way to create space in a situation where like that space isn't given to you? Like how do you do that in medicine? As a medical student at that, like
Yes.
do that.
Yeah. I think what worked best for me is allies. Like I had a lot of, good friends that I made in medical school, and they were always there to remind me and other students, like, listen, they may think that you're this, that, and the third, but you are not this, you're not that, and you're definitely not the third. And it was encouraging to have people who were either similar backgrounds or even those who had different backgrounds, kind of uplift and support you, say, you know what, I think you'd be pretty good for this, and almost like make you feel like you should be welcome into that space and allow you to have the confidence to really be in that room. So that's what helped me the most, is just having friends, other students, attendings, other doctors say, all right, no, I think you're cool. Like this would be great for you, you know?
What does the day in the life of a medical student look like?
It's ugly. I can tell you that. It's real ugly. It is lonely. It is isolating. But some days it's really fun.
What makes it ugly? What makes it lonely? What makes it isolating?
Okay. So for at least for my program, for the first 2 years, I was in an island, a small island, Dominico. Woo, 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 woo. I was in there for about 2.5 years, and it's a small island that doesn't have a mall. It doesn't have, like a big insulated grocery store. And the main focus of us being on that island was literally just students who live on this island and who go to this school. So it would be 12 hours that you're sitting down studying. You get up to go eat, you get up to go use the bathroom, um, but then you have to get back to your studies because the amount of information that you get is just so enormous that in order to get the information together in your head, you have to sit down and really comprehend what you're studying. So that if some, that is a strain on relationships, family relationships, romantic relationships, because it's, especially if you're the only one of the family or friends who has gone into that type of field, it's isolating because you want to spend the time, and you want to spend you want to spend the time, you want to spend the energy, you want to talk to them, you want to see them, you want to feel them, but you came there for the purpose, and the purpose was to study and get through medical school. And so sometimes they have to be put on back burner to your dream. And some people may not be able to handle that or have a difficult time trying to handle that. So that's where the ugliness comes in, is like the backlash sometimes that I would get from those who, I really cared about, and knowing that I disappointed them by not being here, not being there. But at the end of the day, I had to do what I had to do.
At the end of the day, you're about to be an entire doctor. We'll make do. So that's and so like basically you just have like these really long hours studying,
Mhm.
hours that you spend in these hospitals.
Mhm.
One question, I just thought of it. Um,
Yes.
what has your experience been like when like COVID was just starting up?
Mhm.
Before they sent you home, like what was your experience when COVID was just starting up, and how do you feel about potentially working in hospitals given like this pandemic?
Okay. Okay, so the first question, how did I feel when COVID started? That was your question? All right. So,
In the hospital, like what happened?
oh, okay. So for the hospital that I was at, I was in Chicago at the time at like one of their, it's called like a safety net hospital. So it's like one of the hospitals that you go to for those who like haven't seeked medical help in like 20 years. It's almost like it's called their safety net. So you try to get them back into the health system and get them established with a doctor afterwards. So it was a high volume hospital, and at the time I was doing like a family medicine elective. And so like we had heard little whispers of like, okay, COVID-19 is coming, and then it wasn't until we had a case of possible COVID-19 in the hospital. And so this individual, they were in the ICU, so an intensive care unit, so they were like in a very special part of the hospital, and they're like, no students, we don't want any students here. I don't want, like, it was almost like the hospital want no liability of what was going to happen to us. I said, if y'all get sick, that's not on us. That's not on us. So there was no students allowed up there. And then there were almost like a few cases of the flu that will come in, but it wasn't the season for the flu. They were just having flu like symptoms. And so it got to the point where there were a lot of cases coming in, and they couldn't contain how many medical students could see them because they weren't getting the test quick enough to know this is a COVID-19 case, this is not a COVID-19 case, or this is a probable COVID-19 case. So they sent all our asses home. They said, you know what? We can't do yup. It said we can't do this. Y'all gotta go home. I'm not taking responsibility for any student getting sick with COVID-19. So that was their response to it. And thank God that they did it, because I felt like if we continued to stay at that hospital, a lot of students would have gotten sick just by curiosity, like, oh, I want to go see the patient who has COVID-19. Let's see what their symptoms are like. Because it was a novel virus that just came, you know, out of nowhere, essentially. And so I'm sure there would be some curious students who want to know.
Well, as number five likes to remind us.
Oh gosh.
Okay, so they didn't want to take liability. They
Hmm.
guys home. And then what? What is being sent home from like a required
Right.
for you in the midst of a pandemic
Right.
that no one has ever heard about?
Right.
What,
um
like what happens? What was your take on like next steps? Like you've invested all this time and money, um, you know, a psychiatrist,
yeah.
WTF.
Yes, that is true. That is true. At first I was happy. I was like, okay, great. So all this crazy stuff that's happening, I don't want to be involved. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to have to be forced to go talk to a potential case and me get sick because I don't have enough PPE. They talking about using garbage bags as what? I don't know. I said I can't do that. That's not for me. So
Not in the medical industry. What is PPE?
personal protective equipment. So that's like your mask, your gloves. They have gowns that they use, booties to cover themselves up from any contamination, bacterial, virus, or anything getting into the person's face, clothing, or whatever. But yeah, imagine not having enough of that. And who is gonna suffer would be the medical students. So I was thankful. I'm so serious. But then it got to be maybe, let's say, 2 months of me being at home. I thought, this might just pass over. It might be, a little blip that happens. Maybe we'll have like a cure. Maybe we'll have medical treatment in order to decrease the amount of, people who pass away from the virus, and that it would be something where we could work with it. I thought maybe it's going to be like a flu. Then the virus like spread like wildfire. Like in the medical field we'll call it like a virulence, like how much can it destroy and how quick like in a quick amount of time. And this has been the most
What was that word? Fear what?
virulent.
Virulent.
Yes. So it's a very powerful virus in terms of how quickly it spreads, and also the how quickly it can affect the body over time, to the point where organs shut down, your lungs stop working. And it's something new that the United States hasn't seen. It's a brand new virus. And so once I started to realize, oh, this is not just something that's here for a short term, I got out of the elective in April. And it wasn't until like May, that I was just end of May, beginning of June, that I said, oh yeah, nah,
This is for real.
this is for real, for real. The rest of this year is gonna be in the dumps, y'all. This is not good. And so I mean, hmm?
2020 has its advantages.
I mean, it's true. It's not many, but
Count your blessings in life. There are some who woke up today.
uh,
Today,
that's true. That's true. That's
we'll be able to say we survived 2020.
right. And there's gonna be a lot of people can't say that, yo. A lot of people.
The devil can't. 2020 ain't have me. You can't have me either.
Right?
So we got real technical. We got really into like COVID. But what I want to know is
Yes, ma'am.
why is mental health important to you?
Yes. So it's important to me personally because I did not see us in that field whatsoever. And I had this experience with in middle school, in the beginning of middle school, like sixth grade. I had this experience with a girl in my school, and I was kind of close to her. We would ride the bus, we would talk or whatever. And she told me some personal things about her life. And unfortunately, she had committed suicide in sixth grade. And it was something that it impacted me in such a way that I didn't know, okay, why. I knew that she had a lot of problems going on in her past, like with sexual abuse, verbal abuse at home, physical abuse. And she got into a lot of fights. And she, taught back to a lot of teachers. She was always dismissed or suspended, expelled. They almost starting to put her in an alternative school. But talking to her, she was the sweetest thing ever. Like when we would talk, we would just laugh, giggle, talk about boys, we'll talk about school. And the person that they saw was not the person that I saw. And I realized that, okay, so maybe this person has different sides to themselves just because of, how they're responding to what teachers are trying to put on her, or this is how she responds with authority. To me, I couldn't imagine why she would take her life, because to me, I was just like, we're such close friends. And I was like, I thought that maybe she could confide in me, but the problems that she had were bigger than what I could do as a sixth grader, you know? And the response that the school had was, they turned on the announcements and they said, all right, so X, Y, and Z, she passed. She, committed suicide about 3 a.m. this morning. Details to follow. If anybody else feels this way, come to the counselor's office. And that was it. That was all that they gave her. And I just thought, how many other students are just like her? Or just like her, going through something and not saying anything about it, because they don't know where to go to. And this is a pathetic, pathetic call to action. Like, oh, okay. And, in case you feel like it, come up, who's going to want to talk to you?
Right.
And, oh, yeah. And so that's kind of where the interest built. And I just had these experiences where I would get into these deep conversations with people, and I enjoy finding the motivations behind certain actions that we do. And then talking to white people and then talking to black people are two completely different types of
Conversation.
conversations. Different, yes, ma'am. Conversations, different traumas, different things that affect them, different behaviors.
What are white issues?
I don't want to say white issues, because everybody has the same type of, they can have the same type of thing, just present differently.
Rephrase my question. That was a little how does the dialogue as it relates to mental health, how does the dialogue differ when you're having a conversation, with someone who is Caucasian,
Mm.
someone who is, of color?
All right. So let's do two different scenarios. Let's make them the same person, just one is black, one is white. Let's say they make about $60,000 per year. They're a single person. And let's say we have two females, because males are less likely to come into the office.
Okay.
And so let's say they come into the doctor's office complaining of tiredness.
Okay, what city are we in?
Ooh, what city are we in? Ooh, that's why you're a good interviewer. That's a good question. All right, so let's say we are in, hmm, let's say that we are in a suburban or suburb area.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have the same exact woman. One's black, one's white, same job and everything. Now, when they come into the office, the white woman, she's going to come in saying that she's been sleeping a lot. In her mind, she has researched all these things about her possibly having depression. Let's say also same educational background. They both have a college degree. The white woman has already researched some of these things, and she said, I'm tired. I haven't been feeling like doing the things that I used to do. I can't concentrate at work, and I really think that maybe I'm depressed. So they'll say that this might be what's going on. And then you ask them, has there been any certain triggers in your life? And they will say, you know what, yeah, I just changed this job recently, and I really think that that might be where this is coming from. And she'll have an explanation for it. She'll know the symptoms of it, and she'll be able to explain everything that's going on, and with the idea thinking that this is already a mental health problem, right? All right, boom. So now we go into the black woman. A black woman will come in and she'll say, all right, I have been really tired. I don't know what's going on. I just need to sleep. And depending on who you're talking to, they might just give you a prescription for a sleep aid or tell you that you need to change your sleep habits. And then you might just be dismissed from the office after that. Because she did not know what else to bring to the table, and she did not come with the idea of already having possibly a mental health condition, then for her, she will not bring up anything like, I have had loss of interest in the things that I used to enjoy. I have been having difficulty concentration. I've been having poor appetite. And unfortunately, depending on who that doctor is, they may just close it at either this is a hormonal problem, or you just need to learn how to sleep better. They don't always go straight into mental health first if you're going to just a regular primary doctor.
Don't you think though it's kind of like the obligation of the medical professional to fully like flesh out what exactly is happening? So if someone comes in with like a sleeping issue, shouldn't that doctor probe about anything that might lead to depression?
Mhm,
Like whatever sleep depravity is a symptom of, like
mhm.
I feel like, asking questions proactively can save lives.
Yes, yes. And unfortunately, most I won't say most doctors. I won't generalize like that, but it's almost you want to go medical first unless you're seeing a psychiatrist. Then they'll go, mental health first.
Then
But
also, like, a lot of insurances need a recommendation.
mhm,
I don't want to say a lot, but some insurance, companies or plans, some insurance plans, medical insurance plans require that you receive a recommendation from your primary doctor before seeing a specialist.
yes. Yes, and it's almost like the patient has to advocate for themselves to do the research and be like, actually, I think it might be this also. And some doctors are just very astute at asking, generalized questions in order to get a sense of what field is this coming from? Is this hormone imbalance? Is this person just having some, anxiety, stress, depression that could be causing them to not be able to sleep at night? Is this something that's happening with some other system that could be like a rheumatoid problem or immunology problem that could be causing them not to be able to sleep? You honestly have to tackle it from different fields, but it's more so pattern recognition for a lot of doctors. It's like, okay, you have this and this. Which one's the most common? All right, most likely you have a sleeping problem. Here's some sleeping pills. All right, let's move on to the next patient, especially when you have like a 15-minute encounter, and that's how much that the insurance are allowing you to bill for. If it goes past 30 minutes, you won't get the money for all 30 minutes. You only get up to 15 minutes. That's also a real problem that, that's facing the medical field at this moment as well.
So, what do you think? What do you think are is specific to like Black mental health? Like why is Black mental health important? Number one, but also like what are some commonalities within our community that we're noticing as it relates to psychology and psychiatry?
Okay. Yes. Okay. So first question. So some of the things that hold on, say the first question again.
Why is Black mental health so important?
Yeah, so why is this so important? All right. So it's important because there are a lot of foundational problems that this country has that has kind of precipitated the Black mental health, right? And having the Black mental health be poor. It's a lot of we're going to, unfortunately, it's a lot of we're going to pray this depression away. It's a lot of religiosity where you don't even think to go to the doctor for something that you think could be a mental problem. It's a stigma. It's a big stigma to even consider anything wrong with you mentally because you don't want to be considered like a crazy person. Also, um, finances. Was it from the research that I was doing? Was it 8% of African Americans do not have insurance, compared to 11% of Hispanics that do not have insurance for the year 2018. If you don't have insurance and you do not have the ability to pay, you will very much so not see those rooms and not seek health, either mental health or physical health. You do not have the finances to seek health. You kind of have to put food and shelter above your health. So that's another thing. And also, it's just so many things that the Black person in this United States has faced, that there's a lot of underlying trauma that gets continued to be put generation after generation after generation.
I
And
would like you to be specific in this. What
okay,
what are some of what are some of the underlying things that contribute to our generational trauma?
generational trauma. Okay, underlying things that contribute to the general generational trauma are things such as poor coping mechanisms. Some people could go to alcohol, to drugs, to deal with things, unfortunate things that happen.
No champagne for the damn pain?
I mean, to drink in moderation, that's cool, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Smoke in moderation, that's fine. But if every time that you feel a little sadness or you feel a little stress, you hit the bottle a little bit more than average, and now you hitting the bottle has caused you to lose your job, lose your family, lose your kids, lose your car, lose your life, you go to jail for a DUI, I mean, it's a lot. So it's a poor coping mechanism. And then I think of it as also um the physical and mental abuse that gets passed down. Like certain things just become okay for us to do. Like if you hear certain sayings like okay, tell me a saying that your mom told you when you did something bad.
Um, I mean, like, tell me, my mother never really had to tell me anything. She would just give me a look, and it scared the shit out of me.
That's good. That's a great parenting skill. All you have to do is look. But a lot of these parents like, don't make me embarrass you, you
Well,
know, or like if you ma-
I
bless
was
the mama, bless the mama. But there's certain families who think that that's okay to repeatedly whoop your asses in the grocery store. That's a form of physical abuse. It may be in terms of discipline, but you don't need to whoop their ass where they have welts on their behinds, because that's your way of disciplining your child. That's a fear tactic.
That goes back to like what you're saying about like poor habits,
Hmm.
generational habits, because that's something I'm sure that happened to them. So
Hmm.
that's the only example that they have of parenting. So that's what they pass
Right. Yep. And then there's, things like, poor financial management. I think that also plays like a large part in being able to even know to seek the mental health, because you have the finances in order to do so. Because once you get into mental health field, it's kind of like you need to have a certain amount of insurance, or you need to have that cash, that big moolah to be able to do it.
thing is that like finances lead to like poor
Hmm.
mental health. If you're stressed
Yeah.
with finances, like
Yes.
it'll drive you crazy.
Yes.
That drives people crazy.
Yes. And those are some of the things that we kind of pass down, and we keep continuing to pass it down, and it doesn't improve the future. We just get back to the same stagnant, all right, we're going to try to make it work this way because this is how we've seen it work. And I believe in encouraging to change one person in the family in order to have the change continue on forever, so that person can now lead a healthy family, and then that family member can continue to grow in a space where mental health is a priority, and that it's at a state where it's not causing any long-term future effects for the family members coming.
So I just want to take a moment to let you know that
Yeah.
my Titi Agnes said that I thought you said you're her girl. She's very glad that your father pushed you into this particular career. She said, "You go, girl."
Aw, thank you, Titi.
And she said, "Yeah, I have a strong mom." Um,
Mhm.
so
You're so sweet.
moment to look at what people are saying
All
in
right.
YouTube. YouTube, YouTube,
Yeah.
on the YouTube. Um. Oh, Gilda says, facts. The first 2 weeks of the pandemic was all fun and games. Afterwards, not so much. And
And that's from Chicago. That is true. Like it was cute at first.
and Mr. Ashley says, well, I'm gonna paraphrase, but he can't believe that that happened in the 6th grade. Um,
Hmm.
so just quick recap.
Yeah, but that's a common story. That's a very common story as to what happens.
You know what's crazy? So from 6th to 8th grade, I went to this place called the school called Robert F. Kennedy Incentive Program.
Hmm.
So it was supposed to fast track students, like just basically teach them high school level work in junior high school, right?
Hmm.
And so I had like a bunch of really, really smart people around me
Hmm.
for those years, like, just sponges.
Hmm.
And literally a year after we graduated from that school, it was such a small school, the entire 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, it was like maybe 60 students.
Yeah, okay.
Small school, close knit bunch, and like your class, you grow with your class. Like you don't change. It's the same people in your class every year. You might get one or two additions like in 7th grade, but that's it.
Hmm.
So you grow with your class, you guys become pretty close, you know a lot about each other. So we spent 3 years together, and then we all went off to our different high schools.
Hmm.
And in 9th grade, one of the kids who was in my class killed himself in
Hmm.
his first year of high school. And it
Hmm.
always like drove me crazy. Well, not drove me crazy, but it was something that I thought about a lot because he was a really, really smart guy. Like he wasn't number one in the class. Number one in the class, I think, was like Barsha. Then, then it was him, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember this because it was a very competitive school.
She was like, and I was number 3. So let's get it straight.
These kids were geniuses. Like, graduate with everyone. I did well though. I got all A's except for in history where I got a B plus. but 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 I remember like he was always like a weird kid, but because like the school was full of a bunch of like weird kids, nerds, and artsy kids. You know what I'm saying? Like it was he. I guess he had a place there, and then as soon as
Hmm.
high school, I don't know what his experience was, but I'm sure he got bullied.
Hmm.
He took his own life.
Yeah.
And I wonder what would happen if like, kids were encouraged to talk to somebody, especially in those like middle school years and high school years, because there's a lot of stresses that they go through that they don't talk to adults about.
Yes.
And
Yes. And
blind,
that.
blind is a good thing.
Yeah, I know.
So question, would you want to work specifically with children, or would you like to work with adults?
So I've been bouncing back and forth with it. I have a place in my heart for young kids or adolescents, like age, like 12 or like age 10 to 14.
Hmm.
I have a place in my heart for them. But it was one rotation where it was the child with conduct disorder. And he was maybe like 14 years old. And he tried to slap his mama in the hospital. And I was just like, boy, this ain't for me. This right here.
When generational trauma comes up,
Yeah, I said, this right here.
your mother may not whoop your ass, but I sure will.
I sure wanted to. I sure wanted to. I said, you better not touch your. And then he was like, shut the fuck. I said, know he did not just touch his mama like that. I know. After that, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start yoking these kids up, and that's not the healthiest.
I mean, I'm here with you. I have a very strong Puerto Rican mother who's very much in touch with her African roots.
Right.
My mother doesn't play that. Like my grandmother, as strong as my mother is, my grandmother was stronger. So
Mhm.
I come from a line of women who do not play that.
Mhm.
So our family teaches respect. Our family teaches love and our family teaches unity. So, like, something as bold and disrespectful and disgusting as raising your hand to your mother would
Girl.
never happen in my family, like on my block, when
Mm.
family is around. Like, nobody's saying
Mhm.
if you raise your hand to your mother, just stand there because there will be a line of individuals that
Yep. Yep.
straight down to the 2-year-old baby.
Right, the baby like, you not gonna slap mama. No, but that's something. It's dealing with a adolescent at that age. They don't know how to manage their emotions, and sometimes anger is what juts out first, and they don't know how to control the anger and make it a productive thing.
Yeah, you know what? Let's talk about anger for a little bit. I think anger is
Mhm.
a really interesting emotion because um it's it seems like it's a powerful one, but it's actually the weakest emotion that we have.
Mm.
If you ever watch like two people get into an argument, right? Or not like a confrontation where one person is like in the other person's face, screaming at the top of their lungs, and then there's the other person just standing there staring at the person.
Mhm.
And in that situation, I'm always like, yo, this quiet person scares me.
Mhm. Yeah, either they should scare you or you should be impressed by how much they are controlling their anger. Because I think the ones that go rah rah, what the hell, all the, and want to get aggressive, that person has never learned how to cope with their anger. People don't go out and like get road rage and shoot people out of nowhere because they get upset that this driver had cut them off. There has been you have been allowed to go about this pattern of allowing anger to almost rule your emotions. So you don't know that when you start to become angry, that okay, this anger is now building up. How do I manage this so I do not get into a problem later on?
I want to manage anger. I want to release it. How do you release it? And
You could release it too. You could release it, but normally the releasing of the anger could be instantaneously when you beat the crap out of somebody.
like what people who are like suffer from anger issues is I want them to find a healthy way to release their anger in such a way that when they're in a situation where
Mhm.
someone is poking the bear, like
Mhm.
the bear is actually a cub chilling inside, eating its
Mhm.
like no,
Yeah.
this invitation to fight.
Yeah. And it's hard because those are things that you have to build to that, and you're supposed to build it in childhood. Your parents are supposed to teach you how to build that, or they're supposed to cultivate a way for you to control that anger. But if you just let it run free, then you just become an angry person. You have to now as an adult learn how to manage it and how to release it in different ways. Why
So
you face like that?
mm,
Huh?
I want to talk about
Wait.
I want to talk about the importance of mental health,
Mental.
mental
Yeah.
talk about the importance of mental health
Yeah.
in relationships and dating.
Girl, that's the worst one. boy, that's that's the worst one, because it's a lot of broken people with a lot of broken problems who are coming together and making broken families, and that's I'm so sorry. But not everybody's like that. 100%. Not everybody is like that. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to just shrink that bubble for you.
Broken families.
Oh man. But I think of it like this. In relationships, you, the person, are trying to get into a relationship, hopefully with somebody who knows themselves, has a future going for themselves, or knows how to get into that future, and has a very healthy way of communication. You would hope that what you're getting yourself into, and hopefully you yourself have those things going on for you. But what I see is like there's financial instability, right? There is poor communication skills that have been allowed to grow up until the age of like damn near 50 years old, and you still don't know how to call nobody back. Like, that's ridiculous, but there's that poor communication. There is was it poor coping skills. When somebody makes you upset, how exactly do you want to communicate that to somebody else? That is almost like key, because there's always going to be an argument. There's always going to be something. Are you a revenge type of are you a revenge type of person, or do you not say anything and you let it pass?
According to Waiting to Exhale, when you are upset
Okay.
and on you, you're supposed to take his clothes and you're supposed to set it on fire.
Because that's healthy, right? Because, duh, like, burn that shit. What are you talking about? Duh, right? Because that's so healthy.
Lighter fluid just waiting to. I mean, come on.
Come on, burn the whole house down. Like, wait, who did that? I think it was Left Eye, right? Left Eye burned the whole house down. She's, I don't give a F. But it's that right there, even just that communication alone, how to communicate you're happy, you're upset, something's made you feel uncomfortable, you're trying to communicate that you like this person. Just that aspect, if you don't know how to do that in a relationship, is doomed to fail.
No, I think it's funny that we just cracked a joke about like the whole like, Left Eye situation and Seen and Waiting to Excel.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of today, especially on social media, is like memes about like toxic culture and like, I mean, you and I have been saying that we're gonna do this conversation about what's in
Future.
toxicity.
Yeah.
but I just wanted to know, what do you see as a pattern of behavior for like young adults right now as it relates to like mental health?
The pattern of behavior that I see is not being upfront about what is going on inside, right? So, you know how people do a lot of posing for the gram, they'll take a picture with their boyfriend, they're doing kissy faces and all that, they're going on trips to wherever, but on the inside, they may have, very poor communication, get into fights, arguments, almost beat each other up. There's a, and it's almost like you have to have this veil of, this is what a goal is, this is what, this is what relationship goals are, or this is what body goals are. And it's not being transparent. A lot of, especially online dating now, especially in the times of, COVID-19, Tinder's going through the roof, Bumble's going through the roof, Coffee Mix Bagel through the roof. And some people are putting up pictures of them from 10 years ago and thinking that they're going to attract somebody looking like the person from 10 years ago, when this is not what you look like. Ma'am, I need you to take the makeup off. This is not true. Sir, I need you to put the hat off of your head. That's not the hairline you had 10 years ago. It's almost like you're not being upfront to this person as to who you are.
Don't you think a lot of that is that because people aren't upfront with themselves about who they are. So
Yes.
how can you be you with someone else if you can't even be you with you?
And that's why you should not be in a relationship.
She said it.
Yeah, you should not be in a relationship if that is the mental space that you're in. You are in denial with a lot of things going on with your life. You cannot bring somebody else into that delusion. They'll just look at you and like, what are you talking about? That's not real.
Sorries, get it together,
Yeah.
right?
Right. It's
One day I will have a DJ on this show, and when I do this song will drop. Okay. Shout out India. She's my entire mood lately. How does your Togolese culture contribute to your journey within the medical field?
Woo! I've seen. All right, so it's pluses and minuses. I say that a lot. So the pluses are, they've always been very on me to keep going, especially at times where I feel like like I said, there's times where you feel like you don't belong in those rooms, you are not smart enough for that space. My family has done because they want a doctor. So for them, they've been very good at pushing me to keep going, even if I feel like I can't manage it or I can't do it. They've been very good at allowing me to keep going. Um, but the minuses. So it's sometimes I would say it's almost to the detriment of self, right? They want you to move forward so much and keep going, keep going, keep going that they don't see me as a person. They see the path that I'm on and the end goal. So sometimes I have to be like, all right, listen, y'all want me to graduate in medical school within 2 years. That's not effing possible. So you're gonna have to go ahead and let that go. I need to be able to sleep, right? I don't know what kind of Dr. Doolittle you think I am, but it's not happening around here. I need rest.
But I am also human.
Yes, I'm also human.
Computer.
Yes, and they think that, just keep going, keep studying. Wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and study until 8 p.m. No, that's not how life goes. I need to sleep.
Hit them with, sure, wake up with me.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
But maybe not, because my family look down real quick.
Right. Good suggestion though. I like that. Oh man, but they've been helpful. Overall, they've been more supportive, sometimes more than I expected them to be. So that's one thing I'll always say, that they've always been consistent with that. It's just sometimes, yeah, they just don't think of the person. They think of the end goal and how much fame and infamy that's going to give them among the circles that they travel with. And it's just like, it's not about you guys. Like, come on, calm down. Like, can you think of me?
It's dope. It's almost like I'm pretty sure that has to come in handy. That like that con has to come in handy, especially in moments where you're unmotivated.
Mm. Mm.
I was tired.
You've seen it. You've seen it.
I think that the medical school journey is unique, much like the law school journey is very unique.
Mm-hmm.
When you are pursuing any career,
Mm-hmm.
you're building something for yourself, essentially by yourself, because you can have all the cheerleaders in the world behind you, but
Mm-hmm.
you're the one who has to do it. you know?
Yes.
You will always have those days of like where you're unmotivated, uninspired, discouraged, tired.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's nice to have that annoying voice saying, this time and do it.
Right.
Just
Right. Right. I told everybody in the village that you're gonna finish school in 2021. So what's going on? And I'm like, hold on. I didn't tell you to tell everybody in the village. I did not tell you.
Why does the village even know?
Why? Thank you. How do they know who I am? Stop talking about me.
I was like, you will when you're a doctor.
Exactly.
Document with us.
Right? Oh man.
I have so many questions now, but
Right.
what is your favorite part of being an African American woman pursuing a career in medicine today?
I feel all right. It's gonna sound a bit. It's gonna sound a bit cocky, but that's not what it is. It's not what it is.
Oh shit!
It's gonna sound a bit cocky, but it's almost like being a pioneer for other people to follow behind. There's very few people in this field that look like me and get to the top. You know what I mean? And it's almost like I want to get there. I need all of y'all to come with me. Come on. Come on. Y'all can do it too. Don't let these other people, these naysayers say that you can't do it. If that's going to be in medicine, if that's going to be in if that's going to be in fashion design, is if that's going to be in architecture, engineering, whatever it is.
Say is established in your medical career, or maybe even when you decide you want to retire, it's not too late to become that fashion designer that you always wanted to be.
I'm
And
thinking,
sketch on your spare time, obviously after school. But then again, do doctors ever have time? This might just
right? Right. Well, I think about that, but
being a pioneer, period, but it's
mm,
in your industry and opening up a lane for others to follow behind.
hmm
So I'm guessing you want to also make sure that you're available to those behind you in a way that no one was kind of available to you.
yes, yeah.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say no one. Were you able to find a mentor that you felt like you could really connect with?
I found mentors in other fields, but still in the space of like a Black psychiatrist. It's a small group that I found on Facebook, and I think it only has like 120 people in there. But I've been accessing questions and getting talking to people on there. But it's nice to know that they exist. It's a little too late for me for applications to get to know them, but for my future, yeah.
Instead of saying they exist, you should say we exist and include yourself in the group because you're
Oh oh my god. Oh my god, stop.
so much, Murielle, for joining me on this week's Elouise show.
No problem. Yeah.
Informative and in like really interesting conversation. So thank you so much.
No problem. I enjoyed it.
Till next time, sis.
Next time, right. Are we still on?
I'm pulling up the credits right now.
Okay.